All right, here we are. You're moist with anticipation. Oh, that's rough. I didn't know I went live already. Actually, I thought that I hadn't switched it over yet. Anyway, here we are. Let me start this out. Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is Jeff, and today we are going to have some fun playing Magic. And before we jump into playing Magic, I had something really fun I wanted to do here on the stream and for YouTube, and that is opening up packs, which I love to do every time that we have a new set come. And I tried to get a little bit more this time. And the biggest thing that I really am super excited to do today is we're also going to jump into showing you guys mastery mode. I wanted to dive a little bit into this. I did make sure I have enough gems and stuff to show you guys mastery mode. Now that I'm officially into my own account, I'm no longer sponsored by Wizards of the Coast this time, which, again, so grateful to them for doing that. So this is all now my account. All of us streamers do have to still get all of our own stuff, all of this. So if you guys want to help out, definitely appreciate it. Anything like that, check me out on Patreon. That's how I'm able to actually pay for this stuff, is through the Patreon account, actually. So that's how I can actually have cards to play and create content, is through Patreon. So if you guys want to check that out, definitely appreciate it. Patreon it's Komokazi Jeff. I don't think I changed it to MTG Jeff, so it's Komokazi, my gamer name. Anyway, also check out my new awesome shirt. I had a friend make this for me, and it is, I'm really excited about it. It's really cool. It's just like no one's done this for me before. It just brings a tear to my eye. And it's just really cool. It's really comfy too. And I wanted to hear if you guys wanted to get t-shirts like this. Put it in chat, put it down in the comments below. And if there's enough interest, he said that he actually might start up a business doing this, and he does a lot of really cool designs, kind of his own take on different designs. We need to double check on like royalties and things like that, but at least for anything that's of mine or anything Magic, there's some really cool things that he's done with it. And so I'd love to hear if you guys are interested for t-shirts like this, and if there's enough people interested, and maybe I'll put a poll in the video around at this point. You guys can put a poll in for the YouTube video, and if there's enough interest, then we'll go and do it. So let's go ahead and check out this mastery mode. So I'm going to go ahead and open up mastery availability to me. So the cool thing is, if we get to all of these things, we also get the card back, which I think is really cool. If you get to the very end of mastery mode, you also get this super, super cool card back with Shaundra, which I think I would definitely use. You also have the pets, which I'm not so sure what I think about the pets, honestly. They're cool, I suppose. They just also purr really loud, and like it scared me a few times during it. Oh, thanks so much for the follow. That's another thing too, to another announcement. Definitely appreciate any follows that you guys can offer to me towards the stream, because I am streaming on Facebook now, also subscribing on YouTube, liking the video, all those kinds of things. Definitely appreciate it. Now, let's go ahead and jump into, first off, so what mastery mode is, if you guys haven't seen this. If you pay the 3,000 whatever gems, which is a ton of gems, it comes out to being about, I think it's $20 to jump in, but then you get $200 in value from like getting experience points, basically. And so a lot of other games have done something similar to this, and I think this is pretty cool. You get to get some value for just grinding, and you can not spend too much. You don't have to pay out big bucks and anything like that, and you do get gems and things along the way that you can use for events. So I think that overall it's actually kind of cool. I'm not sure that I would necessarily do it if I wasn't a content creator. But I would be more likely to do this than some of the things they've done in the past. So anyway, that's what I think about. I think it's cool. And we have tons of packs. So let's go ahead and open up some packs here. First thing, or not first thing, I guess that's the second thing, but let's do it now. Hey, Jay Sean Spader, how's it going, my friend? What is Magic? You're new here. Magic is the greatest game, one of the oldest card games for forever. You've heard of Pokemon, right? So it's actually the same people that make Pokemon cards made Magic. And Magic Gathering is such a fun game. It is a pretty complex game, and so it's one of those things that's a little bit harder to learn just on the fly, but it's really, really cool. And let's go ahead and jump into some of the cards that we're going to be opening up here, because I think it's super, super fun to come here. And so let's check this out. So we're going to open up 10 packs at a time, talk about mainly the rares. I actually will open up 10 here as well. But so what we're looking for, we do love to get any wild cards. Wild cards will help us get the cards that we need to be able to build the decks, because I'm going to build 2 decks here on the stream. And And oh, hey, thanks so much. And so we're gonna build 2 decks on the stream here today, and play them. For this, I'm also going to be recording a couple of YouTube videos while I'm doing this. But I'm really excited about the cards that we have here. I'm actually going to build a Shaundra tribal deck, and Shaundra's Regulator adds a lot of value to that. Whenever you activate a loyalty ability of a Shaundra Planeswalker, you may pay 1, and then you get to copy that ability. There's some really fun decks you can build with Shaundra there. Also, Still Overseer, I'm really excited to build around that. Icon of Ancestry. Lotus Field, great land. And I think you guys have already seen that I've built like 4 decks with Leyline already during the pre-release. If you guys have seen any videos come out, which I'm posting 2 videos a day right now on YouTube. So definitely go check those out. I'm posting 2 a day, one at 12 p.m. Pacific time and another one at 7 p.m. Pacific time. So doing all sorts of stuff. I'm working, about 14 hours a day right now getting content out to you guys. And it's been so fun because I absolutely love this format. I probably will tone it down a little bit after the first week or 2 once the hype kind of dies down a bit. But I think I'm going to keep doing 10 videos a week during this. Anyway, this is a little bit more of a casual video here for you guys because we're opening up packs, and this is so fun. I love it. So let's go ahead and open up one at a time here for a couple of these, just to show you what a pack is. So just like with Pokemon, hey Tyler Matlow, how are you doing? Welcome. And Adrian, I missed your comment before. Almost midnight. Can't keep too late. Oh, sorry about that. So I'm going to record for about an hour and a half. So typically when you open a pack, just like Pokemon cards or, Magic, it's a collector's game, a card collecting game type of thing. And you get these cards. So we have some really cool cards like Brought Back. And so every pack will have 1 rare, 2 uncommons, which are decent cards. And then you have a bunch of common cards, which are kind of hard to build decks around typically. And so what I try to do with my channel, of course, is I do tend to play a lot more rares, but I am trying to play cards that like a bunch of different versions of decks that can put combinations in different ways to make some really fun decks. So then you can get more packs, have a ton of fun playing this wonderful game of Magic. And if you do want to start playing Magic, you can go to type in MTG Arena into Google and you'll find a place to download it. It's a free game to play, super fun, and Mastery Mode gives a great way to actually jump into the game and start learning. So this is the absolute best time to jump into the game right now, especially because there's the Historic Mode that's coming out soon, and the Historic Mode also will let you keep all the cards that we're going to go out of Standard here in the next set once the next set comes out. And so this is really just the best possible time to be jumping into Magic. So Jashawn, if you're wanting to jump into it, do it. Anyone else that's like still new to Magic, this is absolutely the best time to do it. Let's open up a few more basic ones, and we're going to do 10 at a time again to get this rolling a little bit, because 137 cards at this pace will take a long time. But Hanged Executioner, I actually am a really big fan of this. It turns on Safari, which is my favorite thing, the angel that gets to swing in, and Exiling with the ability here at the bottom. Also very good. I think it's a good card overall, although it's one of those like mediocre, like it's great in the right build and only meh in other ones. All right, let's start opening up 10 at a time, because you can see there's really not much we're going to be talking about with the uncommon and commons. They're cards that are mostly filler that we're not going to be playing too much of. Where I like to build my deck around like a rare or 1 card, and then I put all the rest of the cards into fit around it. And so what I mean by building a deck is you typically have a 60 card deck that you build, and within those 60 cards you have to, and then you play the game, and we'll get into that here in a little bit. So right now, just opening up packs. All right. Thunderkin Awakener, I think is pretty good. I think this is interesting. This one helps you bring back elementals. There is the elemental that when it comes back to the battlefield, it's a 1/1, and when it comes back to the battlefield, you get 2 more 1/1s. I think there's a really fun deck that you can build around that. And that's what I want to do here right now, is kind of just give you guys the ideas of decks that I think would be really fun to play with this. Bishop of Wings, super great with the new angels, letting you gain life. I think this actually will let the angels, a kind of mid-rangey style of angels, gain enough life to stay alive through a more aggressive deck. Like I played this against a mono red aggro deck, and they didn't have the fastest start, but when I was gaining 12 life every time I played an angel or an angel entered the battlefield, they couldn't do anything about it. It was just pretty insane. Mu Yanling Sky Dancer is a great planeswalker. Oh yeah, I haven't actually seen her, or I haven't seen hers in a while, but yeah, her stuff, from what I remember, is really cool. Repeated Reverberance. Honestly, I don't remember this one. Oh, that's right. All right. So whenever you cast an instant spell, or whenever you cast the next instant or sorcery card, or activate a loyalty ability this turn, copy that spell or ability twice. You may choose new targets for the copies. I really, really like this card. Where we had double cast before, which did it for the next ability one time, but this copies it twice, first off, so for the 4 mana, and it also copies loyalty abilities. I think that there's so many cool things you can do with this, and this is definitely going into our Shaundra deck, because if you can get this off with the new Shaundra's, the new 6 mana Shaundra's tick up to put an emblem to do damage every time, you're doing 3 damage to them every turn immediately after casting this, and with a little bit of control in that deck, there's a lot of cool things you can do. Agent of Treachery, I'm really scared of this card. Letting people steal our stuff. Drakuseth, really good and limited. A lot of fun things here. Let's go ahead and get through these a little bit quicker. I do like the Cavaliers there as well. We'll go into a few more of those as we go. This is one of my favorite new cards because it's like another Bioessence Hydra, or not Bioessence Hydra, Bioessence Ooze. And Tendershoot Dryad, and I think that I want to build a deck that is basically only those cards, because it's another card like that where if it stays on the battlefield enough turns, opponent just loses the game. Like, it's just so hard to come back. And I think if we have a deck with enough of those, you can end up doing really well. It's going to be really hard for them to deal with it. So Night Pack Ambusher, Bioessence, or Biogenic Ooze, that's the word. I couldn't remember the name of it. Biogenic Ooze, and also Tendershoot Dryad. All really, really fun cards. Really excited to play those again. Dungeon Geist, kind of an annoying card. I think it's going to be pretty decent in mono blue tempo. Honestly, I was really impressed with it playing against it in limited so far. Whenever it enters the battlefield, you tap target creature an opponent controls, and then that creature doesn't untap its in its controller's untap step for as long as you control Dungeon Geist. So really cool there. Grafdigger's Gauge, really cool for Graveyard Hate. There's a lot of really cool sideboard cards, and so sideboard is what you typically have in best of 3, or if a meta, you know that there's a lot of people playing certain cards in the meta. So there's some cards in here that are just going to be sideboard cards. I'll kind of specify those for the first time we see them. So that's a sideboard card, decent. Masterful Replication. I'm not sure. I feel like there's a little bit of a push for golems in this one, and there are some cool golems out there. I'm not too impressed with the golems that we have so far. We can see if we can turn on the Golden Guardian. That's actually a really fun card. So maybe we can build a Golden Guardian deck, Golem tribal deck. There we go, and that would be super fun. But we'll see. Voracious Hydra, really good. We already did a Hydra tribal deck that came out. It came out yesterday. And yeah. Anyway, let's keep going, keep moving on. Love seeing all the rares too. All of the wild cards is exactly what we're needing. As we go on, we're probably going to hit a lot more wild cards, as well as maybe some gems to kind of fill up our gems here a little bit. Shared Summons, I'm interested to see how this does. 5 mana instant speed, which is really cool. You can play on their turn. Search your library for up to 2 creature cards with different names, reveal them, and put into your hand. It's card advantage in green, which you don't typically see a whole lot, and it's a tutor in green, which is also very good. Is it good enough to take over other slots in the mono green decks or in your green decks? I don't think so. We'll see how it works. It could work in like an Agent's Treachery deck where you need to go grab other people's stuff. So maybe in like a Sultai green, black, and blue deck, you could do some pretty cool things with Shared Summons. Like maybe as a one of, it can go find the pieces you need. I could see it being played in that deck. Mu Yangling, so someone was saying this before. And 4 Helm the Host. Oh my goodness, 4 Helm the Host with that. Oh. Yeah, that sounds really fun. That sounds really fun. All right, Mu Yangling, Sky Dancer, 3, and anytime there's a 3 converted mana cost, and converted mana cost means the cost. Sorry, I can't hover my mouse over it, but the 1 and 2 blue symbols means it costs 3 of mana to pay it, and and it has all these abilities. So take up, you get to make a creature smaller. You kind of protect Yangling that way. So it does protect itself a little bit less than others. And then neg 3 to create a 4/4 blue elemental bird token with flying. Amazing. And the best thing is if you get to this emblem, you get an emblem with islands you control can tap to draw a card. Pretty insane. I'm interested to see if this actually sees lots of play. I like it, but yeah, we'll see. And a bunch of other cards. I'm okay with the lands that we have in this set. They're okay. Lotus Field, I think, is fun. Definitely going to be good in certain sets. Drawn from Dreams, great card. Look at the top 7 cards of your library. Put 2 of them into your hand and the rest into the bottom of your library in random order. It is a sorcery speed draw card, but if you're setting up combos, this is the card to play in a combo deck, which is super cool. All right, we still have a ton of cards to get through, so let's keep going because I want to get to the gameplay here for today. All right, we are going to be playing a Shaundra deck. So Shaundra, Acolyte of Flame, super fun. We need to find as many Shaundras as we can. I think that's the first one, although we found some other pieces. Adamus, All-Seeing, also really cool. I think that, honestly, this is a commander card I think I'd really like to build around. Super fun. You can pay 3, tap it, draw 2 cards, and discard a card. And this is the coolest ability. Whenever it deals damage to an opponent, you may reveal your hand. If cards with at least 6 different converted mana costs are revealed this way, that player loses the game. That's really cool. So if an opponent can just lose the game, like it's going to be a little bit more difficult in standard because you're going to have to spend a lot of your cards to kind of stay alive. But if you can maybe use Drawn from Dreams, the one that lets you dig for 7, you get to find 2 things with different converted mana costs. You'll get an extra card in your hand. The hardest part is that you're going to have lots of card draw in the deck, which means you're going to have a lot less chance to stay alive throughout it. But maybe swinging one time with Adamus All-Seeing will make it good enough. The biggest issue I see with this card right now is that there's too much flying in the format. I think that with all the flyer synergies in white, I think that's actually going to be a really strong deck. I think people are going to be playing it. There's enough... because it's in white blue right now, that's really good. It's going to be able to protect itself, going to be able to tempo you out of the game or play aggressive enough that it's going to be very difficult. So Adamus, I don't think is going to be as good against in the meta, but is it going to be a really fun deck to play? I think so. Dread Presence, I'm really excited to try to build around this. Whenever a swamp enters a battlefield under your control, you can choose one. Either draw a card and lose a life every time a swamp enters the battlefield. That's insane. And then also, or you can choose to have it do 2 damage to any target, and you gain 2 life. Both are really good abilities. That means basically you get to do that every turn. If you get multiple Dread Presence out, you can just kind of grind out of the game. I think that there's a really good mono black control deck that probably just runs 4 Dread Presence, maybe a few other things to make sure that they don't lose to just losing all the Dread Presences. Dread Presence yeah, anyway. And anyway, but I think there's a really cool mono black control deck that you can just get so much grindy value by including this into it. So I think it's a really cool inclusion. Starfield Mystic makes enchantment spells cost less, gets a counter whenever an enchantment you control is put into a graveyard from the battlefield. So this could be okay with things like any of your sagas that go to the graveyard. Maybe this is useful for that, but I'm not so sure. Icon of Ancestry, really excited about this. And I'd love to hear what tribes you guys want me to try out with this, because 3 converted mana costs. As it enters the battlefield, you choose a creature type. Creatures you control of the chosen type get +1/+1. So any tribe, so like this is a dragon. You see it right here, dragon, sphinx, cleric, or human. We can choose one of those, and any creature of that type will get +1/+1. Now that it is colorless, we can build so many fun tribal decks between this and Vanquisher's Banner, or maybe, Radiant Destiny if we're in white as well. There's some really cool things we can do with it. I really think this is good, especially its tap ability. You get to go dig for a card of that type as well, so it also adds card advantage. Really cool card. All right, let's keep moving along, chugging along. All right, let's see here. Love all of the mythic rares. This is awesome. We need to find more Shaundras. Glinthorn Buccaneer, also a really fun card to play with. Steel Overseer, Knight of the Even Legion, amazing new vampire. Steel Overseer, what it does is you can tap to put a counter onto each artifact creature you control. What I really want to play this with is Saheeli, Sai, and anything else that creates tokens, or like the artifact tokens. There's actually a lot of artifact token creation right now. There's also the the spell that puts down 2 Thopters and you gain life for how many creatures you have. Adding Still Overseers into that deck all of a sudden lets you go really big as well as wide, and I think adds the power level of that deck. It really increases the power level a lot. So I think that's a really powerful card. Doesn't make that deck into a top tier. I don't think so, but it's a really cool card. Wakeroo Elemental. I'm in between with this card. I don't think it's that great. You get to untap a land and create an elemental. There's a lot of elemental stuff that's going on, elemental synergies. It does create a big board for you pretty quickly. I don't think it's as good in standard, though. It's just a little bit too slow for what it does. Cavalier of Night, all of the Cavaliers are good. I was actually really impressed with them in Limited. I think that they will be seeing play in standard. We'll see exactly what. Tail's End, we're not going to talk about blue counter spells. Those are the worst. No, it targets activated ability or triggered ability or a legendary spell. So this is a way to counter annoying planeswalkers with blue. And so I do think that like a mono blue tempo or something like that we'll be playing a couple of these. We'll see. And let's keep going along here. We got all of our Steel Overseers, it looks like. Legion's End. Exile target creature and opponent controls with converted mana cost 2 or less for 2 mana. That's not bad. And all other creatures that player controls with the same name. So this can be really cool. It is a way to get rid of token deck. So this is a good inclusion into the sideboard with into any black control deck. I don't think that you play it in the main board. I think that Cast Down maybe just hits more things because it can still hit, the Rotting Registrar, which is a 7/6. It's just going to kill you. And then this also exiles. So there's more text to this. And then that player reveals their hand and exiles all cards with that name from their hand and graveyard. So you can get rid of a lot of their hand. And the cool thing too is that this can become a pretty decent discard spell. Like if it's an Explorer deck and you're wanting to get rid of the Wild Growth Walkers, maybe there's one Wild Growth Walker on the Command the Dreadhorde deck. So this is kind of a really good inclusion to get rid of Wild Growth Walkers. If you take out the Wild Growth Walkers in that deck, it's pretty much just dead. So I do think this is really good. I'm not sure if it is in the main board. I think it's more of a sideboard card, but I do think it's good. I do think it's really good. Marauding Raptor turns on the dinosaur deck. Tomorrow night you will see a video with me and Thyrixix, which was super fun. I finally got to be able to play with him. It was 6 months in coming. We finally got to play, but I tried out a Jund Dinos deck against him, and it was super powerful, and Marauding Raptors adds a lot to that deck. Flood of Tears, 6 for mana cost, return all non-land permanents to their owner's hands. If you return 4 or more non-token permanents you control this way, you may put a permanent card from your hand onto the battlefield. Also, real quick, I know I'm going through these pretty quickly, and that's because these cards have all been spoiled for a while now. And so if you guys want to go check out, I'm not sure if it's MTG Previews with an S or without it, but if you guys want to go check out the rest of these cards, I'm going too fast for you. That's a great place to go check them out, is MTG Preview or mtgpreviews.com. Just so you guys know. Let's keep going on. Cavalier of Night, Elvish Reclaimer. I'm really interested to see how well this deck does. I think this is, you mostly want to use this for its second ability. Sacrifice a land, search your library for a land card, not just a basic land. And so you can do cool things. The hard part is you have to sacrifice a land, so you want to be playing a deck where you want lands in the graveyard, which there are a lot of decks that do that. Here is the Rotting Registrar. 3 mana, 7/6 with a little bit of a downside, but the downside's not that bad. It's at the beginning of your upkeep, you discard a card. In a mono black aggro deck or any aggro deck that's playing black, you're fine with discarding a card to get down a 7/6 onto the battlefield for 3 mana. Completely broken. Embodiment of Agonies also works with that, where you're going to be discarding maybe creatures, and so when it enters the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter on it for each different mana cost among non-land cards in your graveyard. And so it gives examples of different mana costs. That's anything. So 2 converted mana costs, Steel Overseer is going to be different than any other 2 converted mana costs because that's 2 that's non-colored. So I think that this can either be completely broken or it's not really going to do very well at all. I really want to build around this. I think that it'll do really well in a mono black deck. Maybe as 2 copies or so. Safara, this is a card I talked about earlier. Basically, with 4 flyers and 1 mana, you can bring out a 7/7 life-linking flyer, and it says all other creatures you control with flying have indestructible. It's broken. It's really cool. It's conditional to actually be able to play it, but it's broken if you get it out, and it's insane. All the ley lines really cool. They come out, if you have them in your opening hand, you can play them for free at the beginning of the game. This one gives you hexproof. There's one for each color that does different things. Really cool. Planar cleansing, destroy all non-land permanents. Awesome stuff. And here's a couple more of the ley lines for you. So ley line of combustion. So this is the red one. Whenever a permanent you control becomes a target of a spell or ability that an opponent controls. I wish there was something that you control as well. That would be pretty cool. But then it does 2 damage to that player. So it does. It can be decent in a mono red deck. Maybe even in a control deck, it could kind of keep people off of hitting you too much. Leyline of Anticipation. I'm really excited to see how this deck can be played. Like, I've been debating on playing this just as 4 copies in like a basically mono green deck, or a deck that doesn't even play blue very much. Maybe splash it for this card. But if you have it in the opening hand, you may cast your spells as though they had flash, and that gives so much protection to casting your spells, protecting them to stay away from removal because you're playing them on the end step, and the opponent's probably not going to be keeping up as much mana to get rid of stuff. So Leyline of Anticipation has a whole lot to this format, and I'm interested to see if it's going to see play. It's one of those risky cards where like you're losing out on consistency, but if you hit it, you just become so much stronger in that matchup. So I think it's a really good card. Golos Tireless Program. I've been wanting to build a deck around this for a while, so we're going to see how it goes. You can basically, so when it comes into the battlefield, you get to grab a land. You can pay 7, 1 of each color, and 2. You get to exile the top 3 cards of your library and then play those cards this turn without paying their mana costs. So play them means that you can even use lands, and so you want to play this before you play a land if you can. But you get to... I really just want to build a massive big deck, playing things really cheap with this. Maybe bring out a Thran Temporal Gateway and just go crazy doing fun stuff. Maybe with gates. I don't know. We'll see exactly what we do, but that's going to be fun. Gargos. Really cool card. We did a video on this just the other day. Scheming Symmetry, choose 2 target players. Each of them searches their library for a card, then shuffles the library and puts that card on top. So a tutor for 1 mana in Standard, kind of unheard of, except that you both get to tutor. So it's a little bit awkward there. The opponent actually gets the card that they want more before you get yours. This has worked really well in a combo deck. So if you are all in on a combo deck, you could still get value out of this if you're playing against someone that's not doing combo, not trying to find ways to stop you doing your combo. There are also ways that you can kind of break this. We're not going to get into it too much here, but there are some really cool things you can do with it. Another Shaundra. We haven't found a ton of Shaundras. I might be a little bit difficult to do our Shaundra deck without Shaundras. So we're going to have to keep looking at them. These are all cards that we have seen already, so let's go ahead and keep going. And see what we've got here. A Johnny Strength of the Pride. I'm a big fan of this card. This is actually one of the other decks I was thinking of doing today. 4 converted mana cost, 5 loyalty, insane. You can take up to gain life equal to the number of creatures you control, plus the number of planeswalkers you control. So you get to gain life even with by himself. And then you can neg 2. Create a 2/2 white cat soldier creature token named a Johnny's Pridemate. So you basically get to create a Johnny's Pridemate. And whenever you gain life, it puts a counter onto Johnny's Pridemate. So it works really well by itself. And the best ability is its 0 ability. I think this is really cool. A Scheming Symmetry and Ashjack are great. Oh, that's right, because it doesn't let it search its library. That's very true. That would be really cool. And Ashjack would probably go into any deck that you would build with that anyway, just because it's a great card. If you have at least 15 life or more for this 0 ability, then if you have 15 life or more, then your starting life total, that's good to remember. So you start with 20 life, so then you go up to 35 life, at least in Standard. And then you can use this ability. You exile a Johnny Strength of the Pride and each artifact and creature your opponents control. So basically the biggest issue with the Johnny Pridemate deck, and so the cat that this gets to create, is that it would go so big that if ever there was just blockers or anything like that, that it just stalled the game, and it was really hard to finish the game from that point. Sometimes you could, but more often than not, opponents were just winning if they were able to stall a game long enough. Now, if you get to stall the game long enough, you're gaining enough life as you go, you can just get rid of all their blockers, swing in with your like 15-15 Ajani's Pride Mate, or 2 or 3 of them that you have, and we finally have a way to just finish the game. And so I'm really, really excited about Ajani's Strength of Pride. I think that, is it enough to make that game completely competitive? No, I think it just makes it good, but it makes it really fun sounding is the biggest thing. Locks it on Life Chanter. The biggest thing here, so when it enters the battlefield, you have your life total become the total, you may have life total become the total toughness of creatures you control. If you have a ton of creatures, you can get a ton of life. And then you can pay 6, and this guy gets plus X, where X is your life total until end of turn. You can basically make this guy a 40-40 really quickly, really easily. And if you can give it trample, that could be really cool. So honestly, a green-white deck that kind of finishes with this guy could be really fun. We'll see another couple of sideboard cards. We talked about this one. Sorin, Imperious Bloodlord, one of the best new cards for the Vampire deck. That video came out today, actually, at 12. So love this card. You can go check out my video on that one as well. Super, super cool. And let's check this out. Well, we have all of our cheap Shaundras, which let me go into Shaundra a little bit. You get to put a loyalty counter on each red planeswalker you control with first 0 loyalty, so it does grow this one. Then you can use its second ability for 0, create 2 red elemental creature tokens. They gain haste, sacrifice them at the beginning of the next end step. So the sacrifice ability there is actually really cool because there are cards that say whenever a creature gets sacrificed, you do 1 damage to any target. So if we can get out a Mayhem Devil with Shaundra, Acolyte of Flame, there's some really fun things you can do. And then neg 2, you may cast a target instant and sorcery card with converted mana cost 3 or less from your graveyard. If that card would be put into a graveyard, this turn exile instead. So the thing I like about this is it goes really well into lots of decks. If you're in a more of a burn deck, like a mono red aggro, this is I think one of the better Shaundras to play. You get 2 power to swing in with, and you get to go wide with your aggro deck, get in points of damage. If you have a Mayhem Devil, you get even more points of damage when they get sacrificed. Then you can neg 2 to go grab your Lightning Strike, your Wizard's Lightning, your burn spells, your Risk Factor, and you get to cast it. You get to play it that turn. You still have to pay the converted mana cost, so you still have to pay the mana for it, but you get to cast it. And I think that just, it makes mono red. It's a good inclusion to a mono red deck. I'm interested to see if it's actually going to make the cut. We'll see. All right, down to 27 packs. We are getting there. And man, could you imagine opening 150 packs one at a time? I've gotten close to doing that. I've done a box by myself, but that really wasn't even that close. But yeah, this is really cool. All right, so Embodiment Aghanim, Dracoseth, really cool card. You guys saw that during the other stuff. Vivian, Arcbow Ranger, really cool card. Oh, we got the good Shaundra. We'll talk about both of these. Okay, I think Vivian, let me just kind of, instead of going through all the abilities here, I think it turns on a lot of mono green decks. There are, or not mono green, but like heavy green decks. And there are times that I think other planeswalkers are still better for the green, but this is a really good one, especially for its neg 3 ability, which says target creature you control deals damage equal to its power to target creature or planeswalker. You finally have a way to deal with a planeswalker in a mono green deck when there are blockers. And so really good card. I think it's going to add a lot of value to it. Shaundra Awakened Inferno. This is the Shaundra that we really want to be playing today, especially if we can get to copy its abilities a few times. So on its +2, so 6 mana cost, comes out for 6. It can't be countered. Insane. And then +2, each opponent gets an emblem with, at the beginning of your upkeep, this emblem deals 1 damage to you. So, yeah, so each opponent gets this emblem. So we get to copy that ability. And this is insane if you're in the commander with a lot of players. But in standard, the best thing to do is kind of have a control deck and just keep adding up these emblems. And it's really difficult for opponent to kind of survive if they have 5 damage being dealt to them every turn on their upkeep. And so there's some really fun things you can do with that. And it's a plus ability. It's really hard to kill a planeswalker with 8 loyalty right off the bat. So really cool there. Awakened Inferno deals 3 damage to each non-elemental creature, so it has a board wipe within itself as well. At least 3 damage creatures or toughness and below. And then Shaundra, the X-X ability, deals X damage to target creature or planeswalker if a permanent dealt this way would die this turn, exile it instead. So it just does everything. It is an insane card. You do have to get the 6 mana, and in red it's a little bit harder to do, but this can go, it's really easy to splash for this card. So there's a lot of cool things you can do with it. We've seen everything else. Let's go ahead and keep going on. And I'm interested to see how many wild cards we have after this. We should have quite a few. I'm really excited. Leyline of the Void. If a card would be put into an opponent's graveyard from anywhere, exile it instead. So exile it instead. So this is the black Leyline. Comes out free if it's in your opening hand. We've seen all of the rest of these. All right, we are down to our last 7. Also, we do have a whole play set of these Temples. There's 5 different colors. I think it's the allied or enemy colors right now, because blue, red there. Yeah, so we do have a lot of those, although it's not every color, at least as far as I know. I could be wrong there. Let me know if I'm wrong. We're not going to go too much into this. Risen Reef is one of the better uncommon cards, though. It's really good. The Teamer Elemental deck was really scary. I ran into it quite a few times so far with the deck. Disfigure, I'm a big fan of. Kalia, we did a Kalia deck during the stream, and it will be coming out tomorrow, I believe, at 12 p.m. on YouTube, just so you guys know. Pulse of Marasa, I'm actually a big fan of. You get to gain 6 life. You do have to have a creature in the graveyard that you get to get back to your hand, so that's pretty good. I'm interested to see how this is played. I think it's a 1 or 2 of in decks that have some graveyard synergy, but the gaining 6 life is a big deal against certain decks, so I think it is decent. Cavalier of Gales, one of the blue Cavalier. I think this may be the best Cavalier, or the one that's going to see the most play. It has a Brainstorm on a body. A decent body that's a flyer that also scries when it dies. Yeah, there's a lot of value there for a blue deck, and so blue decks I think will play that pretty often. Maybe not a ton of copies of it, but it'll definitely get played. Another Leyline, the white one. We already talked about that. Let's keep going on. 3 more packs. The countdown is on, and Bark Hide Troll, pretty awesome. Bag of Holding. Oh, I'm so excited we got this one. All right, so Bag of Holding. I think this card may change the format probably more than a lot of other things will, and it's because 1 converted mana cost. Whenever you discard a card, you exile that card from the graveyard, and then you can pay to draw a card and then discard a card, and then you can sacrifice Bag of Holding, return all cards exiled with Bag of Holding to their owner's hand. So the best thing about this is it's any card that's discarded will be exiled that way, and so. It's so cool because I'm not sure if you guys have played Dungeons and Dragons, but Bag of Holding is just one of the most broken items in Dungeons and Dragons. So it's so cool to see Wizards of the Coast that creates that game as well bring a Bag of Holding into the standard format. Really excited for that. I think it's really, really cool. And being able to just refill your hand of all the things that were discarded. This is a good way to counter against Thought Erasure as well. If opponent is discarding all of your stuff, you have a great way to bring everything back at some point. You do have to get the 4 mana. But I do think that it's a very versatile deck that if you build around it, definitely gives you tons of value. I'm interested to see the ruling on what happens when you have multiples out, if you get to get all the cards back or if you get to choose which Bag of Holding it goes under. I'm thinking just because of the way the initial text works, you get to bring back all of them the first time. You get to bring back everything. I'm not exactly sure how that would work. I think it'd be nice if you'd be able to kind of leave some there so you don't have to discard if you have 10 to 15 cards in with Bag of Holding. Just kind of choose the 7 that you want. I think that there's a possibility that could happen. I'm not sure though. I'd be interested to see the ruling on how that works. Repeated reverberation again. And that was it. Those are all the packs here this time. So I'm going to end this YouTube video here. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. We went over the masteries, went over 150 packs, and now we're going to be jumping into some gameplay here on the stream. If you guys want to check out my stream, it's over on Facebook. The link is in the description below. And yeah, thanks so much for joining us. We'll see you in the next one. Thanks so much, and bye-bye.